Good evening and welcome to Leeds. Yay! I've actually managed to find my way out of London, finally, to do a health chat. And I have to tell you, the weather is absolutely scorching hot. It's been a great day, isn't it? And we're here at a great conference. We can't do these health chats without the support and help that we get from our principal sponsor, IMS Maxims. Please give a warm welcome to the Managing Director, Shane Ticker.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's fabulous to be outside of London.
Hey!
In the north. We've got a really special night for you tonight, but we've got a shorter one than normal. So there's going to be some different agenda. We're shortly going to welcome Nick. And many of us have been here today. I've already had the pleasure of meeting Nick, seeing Nick, and hearing about him. But Roy's going to take him through the normal scenario. And then Amelia's going to get to have a bit of a chat with him as well. And then towards the end, we'd like you to indulge us a little bit, because you'll hear all about the Pink Socks movement, but we'd like to ask you to watch a little thing that Roy's been working on. Roy's very irreverent. He likes to wind people up. He has a pretty bad reputation, but there's some other stuff you don't know about him. And we'd like to expose you to that a little bit. And with that, can I hand over to to Roy, to invite Nick to come along.
Big hand for Shane. I didn't know how I was going to introduce our guest this evening. It's kind of quite difficult, really. And then I thought of Genesis. No, not the pop group. No. Honestly, we get a better audience in London, don't we? Much better educated in London. I thought of Genesis. Genesis in the Bible. Genesis chapter 27, verse 11, where a young man is talking to his mum, wondering about his brother, because his brother doesn't actually look like him. And the actual verse in the Bible says, effectively, Mum, I am a smooth man, and my brother is an hairy man. Ladies and gentlemen, meet my brother, Nick Atkins. Oh dear, no, you've got your own microphone.
Yep.
Because we couldn't put a clip on because of his beard.
The hairy man. Hairy brother.
And hairy man.
Did not work.
Yeah. It's great to see you. Thank you so much. When did you arrive?
Tuesday morning, Heathrow, 7 a.m.
And caught the red eye.
Caught a train to Leeds, and it's nice that Sarah was able to pick me up so I didn't have to hike into the campus. So yeah.
Yeah, and you've had a good time? People looked after you?
I had a great time. Just I've hit as many pubs as possible so far.
There are lots to go.
There are lots.
And you're in London, because there'll be a lot of people watching this wondering when they can meet you in London. I think you're in London on Friday, is it, or next week?
Yeah, there's a PinkSocks meetup in London on Monday the 22nd.
Monday the 22nd.
And there's multiple meetups.
Yeah.
So if somebody out there has the calendar, looking at it's Bristol, Exeter.
Okay, so
nobody
noticed you
next couple of
coming.
weeks. Yeah. So you can find it on the PinkSocks Facebook page, or Nick is in PDX, my Twitter handle.
Okay, and I think it's on Twitter as well.
Yeah,
you just do hashtag
yeah.
PinkSocks.
Yeah.
Well, you're a really interesting guy, Nick. And so where did it all begin for you? Which bit of America were you born? Where were you?
I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Which is the home of Elvis, which you've already had a little taste of.
Yeah, we had a bit of a warm up with the audience singing Elvis Presley.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Memphis, and then I went to undergrad at the University of Mississippi, University of Southern Miss, down in Hattiesburg, which is way south down to the coast. And then I went to business school in Nashville at Belmont University.
I can't imagine there is a business school in Nashville.
Well, there's several.
I think there's probably a music school in Nashville.
And Belmont is a music school as well. So there's several main schools in Nashville, and then I came out of business school and went right to work at the Vanderbilt Health.
You got any brothers or sisters?
No brothers and sisters. My mom said, "Oh no, that's enough."
Actually, I looked you up on the internet, and you've got to Google this guy, because there's some lovely photographs of you as a young man, a callow youth,
Yeah, so if you look at pictures of me on the internet and then you find, these pictures are from like 1895, I look a lot like that guy right there, this Richard Carver. The camera can't see him, but the suit and tie guy with the hair and all this stuff. I looked a lot like that for a long time.
For those of you watching, it's Richard Corbridge, who used to be the CIO, isn't it? Yeah, up in Leeds, and before that he was running the IT system in Ireland.
And then he got the boot, right?
Then he couldn't cope with the pressure anymore, and now he's working for a pharmacy where he's handing out the bath. Yeah. Your mother had growing a beard. No.
So interesting about my first words that I spoke in this life. My mother was holding me and singing to me, and according to her, my first words were, "Mommy, no sing." I love my mom. She's 78 years old, and she still can't sing.
So that shaped your whole future, right? So you went to business school.
Yep.
Because you've had a very successful business career, and we'll get on to that in a moment. But I think you were selling health insurance at one time, didn't you?
I came out of undergrad selling medical, surgical equipment and supplies, and then I went back to business school and came out, and I worked at Vanderbilt Health Plans, where we were running 5 healthcare payer products owned by the Vanderbilt Health Plans. So we rolled out 4 HMOs and a PPO. We were the first Medicare HMO in the state of Tennessee. I mean, this was back in the 90s.
But it's quite interesting.
I had hair back then.
Yeah. Well, there'll be a lot of people who'll be interested in actually what's happening into US healthcare now. Because we know that Clinton had the first go at, and Donna Shalala, I think, was the advisor I met her when she was over here. She was Clinton's advisor on healthcare, and he had a go at changing healthcare, and then Obama came in with Obamacare. And what difference has that actually made to American healthcare?
Well, all right. So if I had the NHS, I would take the NHS.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no universal health coverage in the U.S. right now. It was designed broken. When CMS was designed in 1965, Center for Medicaid Services. So that's Medicare and Medicaid. The main 2 payers in the U.S., but the U.S. is a system designed of multiple private payers, which is a mess, right? And it's going to be hard for us to get out from behind that. There's a really good book called Casino Healthcare, written by Dan Monroe. If you want to get a quick study on the architecture and the landscape of the payer system in the U.S., how it was designed, I'd read that book, Casino Healthcare by Dan Monroe. I don't see a quick fix in the U.S. for coverage.
First of all, the states can do their own thing, can't they? It's hard to persuade them to subscribe to some national overarching scheme.
Right, and there's too many private payers in the mix, right? That are based on CMS MAC charges, right? So if you're asking a big corporation that's taking in premiums to vote against themselves to say we want to get out of this business, that's kind of a hard thing to win, right? So it's the structure right now, how it was built from the very beginning, being privatized, it's going to be a challenge for us to get out from under.
Trump has said, Trump said a lot of things, we won't get into that, but he has talked a lot about...
On behalf of the American people, I'd like to apologize.
But he has said some quite interesting things about...
Hey, don't laugh. This guy, you guys have got... I'm not going to name a name, but he's like 1 chromosome off from our guy.
Yeah. Well, you mean Boris Johnson?
Yeah.
You
said it.
God help us, I know what's going to happen.
Okay.
Well, we'll know next Tuesday what's going to happen to us. What Trump has said...
Remember that part where we said we're not going to talk about politics?
No, but I want to know. I'm interested in what the upshot in American healthcare is going to be, because you've got the richest, wealthiest nation in the world. It has a dysfunctional healthcare system for a lot of ordinary working class people. People go broke because they can't pay their healthcare bills. And it's something that's really hard to understand, that it's in the nation's interest to have a fully functional healthcare system. And I just don't understand why Americans don't see that. I mean, they're not all like Trump, are they? There's some clever
I
ones.
agree with you. It's a $3 trillion number. Healthcare is a $3 trillion number in the U.S. economy, so it's a big thing, and I agree totally with you. I mean, people have plans. I'm a fan of the Bernie Sanders plan he laid out a few years ago, how to do that. It involves increasing taxes on certain people with certain income that can help pay for the whole thing, and it's the way the U.S. system works. Are you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah, no,
right.
I don't, but I. Yeah,
Right, so
yeah.
so this is, I don't really have to say this, but in the Game of Thrones, there's how many thrones? Seven kingdoms, right? So in the U.S., there's the top 0.1% of income earners in the U.S. are 13,000 households. So out of 37 million people today, whatever it is, roughly 13,000 households in the U.S. are really the ones that are driving policy. So there's 13,000 thrones in the U.S. And those 13,000 thrones don't want to give up the throne, right? And so they're the ones that are driving policy, that have the lobbyists that are making it happen. And so it's fun and it's placating to think that the U.S. that we live in a democracy, but it's an oligarchy run by 13,000 thrones. I mean, that's really where we are. So.
And then you got out of that business.
And then I got out of that business a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And then you had something of a sort of life-changing experience when you went to Burning Man. Now, tell us what Burning Man's all about.
Yeah, so Burning Man is this thing that happens in the desert in Nevada every year for 1 week of the year. It's a global social experiment. It's been going on for years and growing. It's 80,000 people this year that will gather, people from all around the world that want to say yes to something, that just find out what that thing is.
It's kind of, just to explain
it's
it
not
to
like Glastonbury.
Oh,
Glastonbury is like huge 200,000 people music festival.
Glastonbury on speed.
Well, I mean, it's not really, yes, there's music, yes, there's awesome, cool art, there's all that, but I mean, this is a longer experience. So if you go to Glastonbury or another traditional festival, it's a weekend-long event, you throw yourself as hard as you can at it, and then you go home. Well, what if you go to Glastonbury and you throw yourself as hard as you can at it for 3 days, and you wake up and you're like, oh shit, I'm only halfway through this thing. Yeah, I'm in the middle of the desert. Can I go another half a week? And that's really where you find yourself, in that willingness to throw yourself into a breakdown with 80,000 other people that are willing to do that and say, hey, we got this. We're going to make this. We're going to survive. Number one, it's camping in the high desert. It's extreme conditions, super hot in the day, super cold at night. So you have to survive that. And people come for the music. Some of the best DJs in the world. It's magnificent art, huge art installations that are just mind-blowing. I mean, looking at some pictures with Dave earlier, the installations he saw at Glastonbury this year. But even beyond that, beyond the music, beyond the art, it's really about the connections that you make with people one-on-one. And those moments when you're riding your bike across the desert or just walking at sunrise and really not knowing where you are, and somebody says, hey, I just made some blueberry pancakes, you want some? Or it's high noon and you're in the middle of the desert, and somebody says, hey, I got some coconut ice cream. What? In the middle of the desert? Yes, I want some coconut. So those moments of gifting and generosity, that's really the magic for me of Burning Man. So I talked earlier today about the PinkSocks movement. What does it mean? And I liken it oftentimes to whatever whatever it needs to mean for you is what it means.
We'll
So
come on
Burning
to
Man is a
PinkSocks
lot like
later.
that, right?
Yeah,
So
and
whatever it needs
Burning
to mean is
Man,
what it is.
they used to burn an effigy of a.
Oh, they still do.
They still
yeah.
do that.
Oh, yeah. So the original Burning Man started in 1986, and a group of friends in Baker Beach, San Francisco, made an effigy of a man out of some 2x4s, some stick man out of wood, and they.
And it's huge.
Right, but now it's, so that was some friends, and it grew and said, okay, we're going to take this and make it big, and it's huge. So if you look up pictures from Burning Man video, the effigy of the man is through the years, and what that's become has been quite fantastic.
And so you came back from Burning Man, and from that was born the concept of PinkSocks.
So I looked a lot like you before I went to Burning Man.
Yeah.
It was a lot like this. I mean, not quite as handsome as you.
Do you think I should go to Burning Man?
No, I was in a suit and tie and the cufflinks and all of this stuff. I mean, it was really nicely coiffed.
I was born.
You came out just like this. You weren't the Buddha.
Yeah.
He was born at 5 years old, people. And I came back and said, I'm kind of done. It was 2010. I was the CEO of a healthcare company in Nashville, and we were trying to decide what to do with the company, and came back from Burning Man and said, hey, how was that Burning Man thing? I was like, well, it's great. They're like, well, what do you want to do? Sell it. I'm done. I'm out. And, so that was it. And I moved to Portland, Oregon in 2012. In April of 2012, in June of 2012, I met a burner that owns a kilt company. I said, hey Nick, have you ever tried wearing a kilt? I said, oh, so I tried one. Yeah. So June of 2012 was the last time I wore pants. Please don't take that photo too close under here. I'm trying to be strategic here with my scene. I gave up pants in June of 2012. Wear kilts.
Have you got a whole wardrobe of kilts?
Only kilts. Yeah. Anywhere around the world, whatever the climate is, board meetings, whatever. I did a startup and try to raise some money, but maybe I should wear some pants for that because we didn't get enough money.
But your kilts are made by a particular guy.
Yeah, it's Stumptown Kilts in Portland, Oregon. This guy's a burner named Johnny, and I only wear their brand, and so.
So you're a walking advert for their kilts. Did you not also have another startup after you left? What was that?
It was a company called Real DX. Still going, it's a viable business. We created it was the first open API for asynchronous video file management for the techies in the room. So basically we were able to create, store, and share a video file all in a HIPAA compliant stack. HIPAA in the US is this big thing about security and privacy and all that. We were a little ahead of our time probably on that piece. The core product was an educational product, which is still the ongoing piece. It was
So what would you class yourself as a technical entrepreneur? Are you a techie? Do you write code?
No, I don't sling code. No, I'm more the business guy. So my roles have always been on more the operating side, not the
raising the cash,
managing the operations, doing business development, overseeing stuff. But
okay,
if you sat me down and said sling some code, I would look at you and go, well, I can hire somebody for that.
Yeah. For the non-technical people watching this, tell us in English what the company does, because it's quite interesting.
What the API was designed for?
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically, think about any Star Trek fans in the room, like the original series, right? Old school, right? So when the away shuttle would leave the Enterprise, so you'd get in the away shuttle, go down to the planet, and it would come back. The away shuttle was always inside the tractor beam, and the tractor beam kept the away shuttle safe so that the Klingons couldn't attack it, or somebody couldn't attack it, right? It was always safe in that tractor beam. We basically created a tractor beam, right, that would keep a video file, the away shuttle, safe, whether it was at rest in the holding bay of the Enterprise or in transit, going down to the planet. That video file, the away shuttle, was always safe inside the tractor beam, whether it was at rest or in transit. No one could attack it. Oh, and let's say it's going down to the planet, and the Klingons are attacking it. Photon torpedoes. It could detect that it was being attacked, and it would know at the point that it needed to destroy itself rather than be captured, so that that video file of this very private video that you just had with your doctor doesn't get exposed or uploaded on YouTube or Facebook or etc. Really cool stuff, right? So I have the ability to create, store, and share a video file, adaptive bitrate streaming, that can read your device, know what speed to play it back so that it's all truncated and chunky. Really, really cool stuff. Way ahead of its time. And it was designed to be an open API, and I know a lot of techies in the room know what an open API is. And so our real value prop when we were pitching this was, you go into a company that wants to incorporate video into their flow, whether it's an app or a portal or whatever, and you say, look, would you like to have secure video embedded in your workflow, in your app, in your product? They're like, yes, we love that. We totally would love that. We're like, great. Here it is. All you have to do is plug in this API and it works. But as I see some of you going, I'm the CTO, I'll tell you what works. I go, okay, all right, CTO, how about this? I know you want to build it yourself, don't you? You just can't stand it, because you got it. Okay, an API is not your core mission. It's not your core product. You've got your team heads down on building your thing. Why wouldn't you just take an API and plug it in? Right? It's like this. I would say, a chef. The CTO is the chef. The chef's going to make a beautiful cake, beautiful product. Well, there's ingredients in that product, in that cake. One of those ingredients is, let's say, sugar. We'll call sugar the video file management, secure video file management. I say to the chef, CTO, I say, hey, yeah, you want to make this cake and put this sugar in it, don't you? Yeah. Well, you can either go down to Louisiana and buy some land, grow some sugar cane, process it, oh yeah, ship it all the way back here and put it in your cake. Or you can just grab it off the shelf, put it in your cake, and make the cake. And do you know how many CTOs go, I think I'm going to Louisiana to buy some land? That makes no sense. And so that was a struggle.
I have to tell you, that is just, it goes on every day, right, in the NHS.
Yeah.
I was with a chief executive of a big hospital just recently, and he was very proud to tell me that he got several £1 million for a patient administration system for his hospital, a new one. And I said to him, that's really interesting, what are you going to buy? And he said, oh, we're going to have it bespoke. And I thought, there's no point in talking to him, is there, really? And he just doesn't get it, But if you still have to have those conversations.
Right.
And that's all about interoperability, that everyone will understand, and that's what we have huge problems with here. We still haven't cracked interoperability, either of the systems or how we manage the data. We still not that, and it is only one NHS, but it's 157 independent hospitals that are formed in law and can pretty much do what they want to do. So it is. We still have that problem. Right. So do you still have that company, or have you sold it?
The company's still going. Yes.
Yeah, and it's still doing good stuff.
Still rolling, and I'm still holding paper on it.
Yeah, very good. And then, of course, we move into the very important part of your life where...
I mean, I'm not involved in the day-to-day of that.
But it's all right, I'm not a shareholder, don't worry. Then tell them the story about the socks and the guy in the lobby. Because this is really where this important part of your life
this is really where the PinkSocks thing began. I was co-founder Andrew in Tech on Twitter, who's now the CTIO at Washington State University Med School in Spokane, Washington. He and I were co-founders at this company, and we're just talking about, he was the CTO, it was his team that designed this freaking awesome tech stack that I just talked about. So we're out humping around trying to raise money, right? Trying to raise, I think, $5 million is what we were trying to raise for some seed money. And, to do that, you have to kind of be seen and go to the conferences and talk about your stuff and do all the hustle that you have to do to put your hand out to ask for money. And so we went to hymns. So really, I've probably been to a hymns. I see.
Yeah, we
shaking
got
your heads.
hymns here. Yeah.
I've seen some of you at hymns. So this was hymns 2015. That year it was in Chicago. And Andrew and I said, hey, look, no one's ever heard of us. We literally had just got our Twitter accounts, and nobody had heard of us. And I said, look, how do we do this? What if we just go to hymns and let's pack our little backpacks here, let's just pack those full of these pink socks with the mustaches on them. And every time somebody comes up and says, hey, who are you guys? We use that as an icebreaker and just say, I'm Nick. I'm Andrew. What's your name? And that's what we did. And so, I'm wearing a kilt. He's rolled his blue jeans up, and we're in this 42,000 people, healthcare executives and suit and ties, walking around like, who are these guys? This kind of kilt and this kind of blue jeans with his pants rolled up and these pink socks. What is that? And as we go rolling in, the very first day, the McCormick Center, the big conference center in Chicago, come rolling in, and the very first person we run into is Eric Topol, Dr. Topol.
Oh, he's been here. We've had the Topol report.
Yeah. And
it was good, wasn't it?
And so we ran into him, and he's really, if you met him, he's a really super tall guy, probably about as tall as you. Oh, here. So in reference, everybody knows him. And so we run up to him, and I go up to him, and I look into him. Hello, Dr. Topol. And he's like, well, Nick. And he's like, I really like what you guys are doing at Real DX. I was like, what? And I was like, do you mind if I tweet that? He looks at me, well, Nick, I wish you would. And I was like, so I'm composing a tweet on my phone, like right in the spot. And I reach in my little packet, can I get my picture with you? He's like, sure. And so I'm giving him these pink socks, and so this is, Eric Topol says he really likes what we're doing. Hashtag pink socks, hashtag hymns15. And took the picture, showed him the tweet, I said, are you okay? Because you don't ever want to mess with Eric Topol on Twitter, so I'm getting permission. And he's like, yeah, it's good. So we literally walked, from here to that door, basically, to go into the conference center. He goes in front of us with his handler, and I look down and I look at Andrew and go, oh, what? Eric Topol just retweeted that. And we literally walked into the conference, and people were coming up to us and saying, who are you guys? And we're from Walgreens. The CMO of Walgreens come have a meeting with us. We're from Intel, we're from Nuance, we're from Dell. We're like, what? And so we were having these meetings, all based around who are these people with the pink socks that captured this tweet right from the beginning from Eric Topol. And much like we did today, earlier from the room, I said, this is a photo op. Everybody get your phones out, take a picture. There's so many of you that did. We were very lucky at HIMSS that same time. If some of you are on Twitter, follow Dr. Nick, at Dr. Nick1. Nick Vanderhaven, recent from Scotland. He's awesome kilt. He's got all the gear, the dagger and all the stuff. At that time, he was the chief medical officer of Nuance, which is Dragon, natural language processing NLP. And Andrew and I met him at that conference, and he said, hey, what are you guys doing tomorrow at 2 o'clock? We're like, whatever you say, Dr. Nick. That's what we're doing. And he was coming to the main plenary hall at 2 o'clock either. I was like, all right. So we show up, and we're literally like sitting where these guys are sitting in the front row here. And Dr. Nick starts his talk, and he's in a suit and tie. And all of a sudden he asks the crowd, he goes, how many people are on Twitter? And people raise their hand, like we did this morning. And he goes, everybody get your phone out. And the room is packed. And Andrew and I are just sitting there like, what's happening? Dr. Nick pulls his pants leg up from the stage and says, everybody take a picture of this right now. And he stands there and everybody's got their phone. He goes, got it? Got it? He goes, now I want you to tweet that. And I want you to tweet hashtag hymns15, hashtag PinkSocks. Literally, Andrew and I are right here, just, what's happening? he says to the crowd, he goes, if you're not on Twitter, you know, it's all, you know, you CTOs and you know, all these IT, you know, all these hospital administrators, all that stuff. Because if you're not on Twitter, you should be, because I'm going to tell you what happened just now. Because these two guys that you never heard of from Portland, Oregon, how to start up, they've had meetings with CMOs, CTOs, the biggest companies at this conference, because they're on Twitter. Boom. And yeah, and so the hashtag went viral at HIMSS15, in no small part to Dr. Topol and to Dr. Nick. And it's really never slowed down. It really, really hasn't. So it's just been weird.
And the secret is about gifting.
The secret is gifting. Yeah, so the PinkSocks movement now is a nonprofit. Became a nonprofit.
Because you have a website now.
I have a website, PinkSocks Live.
Yeah, and it's
PinkSocks.live.
It's a CIC, isn't it? A social enterprise.
Yeah, so we're in the U.S. We're incorporated as a nonprofit corporation,
Yeah.
which happened earlier this year. So, you know, from something that just a couple of guys gifting pink socks at conferences in 2015 grew through the years to become this organic global movement. Did a TEDx talk in San Francisco in 2017, and after that it really took off.
Well, the TEDx is really it's on YouTube, and it's really worth watching. Oh, it's a very interesting one.
Yeah.
How do you feel about doing a TED?
That was fine. I mean, it was when they called me and they said, "Hey, we'd like you to come do a TEDx talk in San Francisco," and I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "What do you want me to talk about? You want me to come talk about telemedicine?" They're like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, what do you want me to talk about?" And so we went to come talk about the Pink Socks movement, and that's the first time that I'd heard somebody say the Pink Socks movement. I was like, "What? No, this is just a bunch of happy, smiling people around the world that are gifting pink socks. It's fun." Like, no, it's a movement, and we should come tell a story. And so...
It's had millions of page views, isn't it?
And so did the Pink Socks movement talk and TEDx, and it really, it's fascinating to get up every morning, search that hashtag Pink Socks, see what people are doing all around the world. I see some of you that I see on Twitter every day that I'm getting to meet in real life right now, Nikki. Yeah, right?
Real people.
Right, it's in real, this is in real life, right? And so my friend Chris at the Hello My Name Is, hashtag Hello My Name Is, and his movement, and it's really amazing the power that social media has, especially Twitter and healthcare. I mean, most people, I'm not on Twitter. Well, you're missing out. There's some very awesome conversations that happen in real time every day on Twitter. There's awesome tribes to follow, like the Hello My Name Is tribe, the AXS chat tribe, which is people with disabilities, accessibility chat, healthcare leader, ACLDR, the PinkSocks Tribe, and the ability for us to cross-pollinate in our communities and our tribes. I mean, Nikki's really big in the Early Risers Club and the Night Shift Caregivers, right? I mean, just the things that they tweet are so awesome, and we try to align ourselves with communities and tribes that are only tweeting happy, positive things. There's so many channels for you to follow, and they get forced on you that are negative stuff. It's really nice to follow communities and tribes like Hello My Name Is and Nikki's group.
Cheers everybody up.
Right.
You got any idea how many pairs of socks you're giving away?
I know exactly how many pairs. So 55,000 pairs of socks have been gifted.
Wow.
So when people say, well, how many people are in the Pink Socks Tribe? I don't really know. I know how many pairs of pink socks. I'm not accounting for that. But like these Pink Socks pins or badges, as you say here, Daniel Rothman, we've gifted 10,000 of those out into the universe. Terry, I don't know how many badges that she's put out.
Oh, our badge, the Academy of Fabulous Stuff badge bill is the biggest item in America.
And so hats, t-shirts, cupcakes, cakes, scarves, rings, cufflinks, this all built around this gifting ethos. So I don't have an exact number. The medallions, right? I mean, see, I'll get one of these and see, show with hers. There's no real true accounting on, I couldn't say exactly what I can tell you how many socks have gone out, but I can't tell you the exact number of the tribe. And really the exact number of that tribe, I think it's irrelevant. So whether it's 55,000 or 100,000 or more,
And
it's
where
only
do you
growing.
get this? Where do you
Yeah.
get? Tell me about the
So-
company that makes the socks. How did that?
Yeah, so
We went in there one day and said, "Hey, make me some big socks."
Yeah, so the original socks in the beginning I was buying from a friend who owns a sock company in Portland, and I was buying them 100 at a time, and then now I'm buying them 500 at a time. I need 1,000 at a time. I need 5,000. And it's like, whoa, stop. That's not conducive with our workflow and our business. And so at that point I said, well, I need to get them somewhere else. So I outsourced them. I literally was basically by default became a textile importer, and I buy the socks now from a vendor in Bangkok, in Thailand.
Now I've got two pairs.
5,000 pairs.
I've got two pairs of socks. I've got the original ones that
Right.
don't have the jigsaw piece on,
Puzzle.
and they're kind of
So the
washed
original
out.
ones, the OGs, the original gangsta socks,
Yeah.
which were just the mustache piece. When those were the ones I was buying for my friend, and then when I did the TEDx talk in San Francisco, that's when we rolled out the new ones, which we call the 2.0s, which are now the 3.0s. And we incorporated that puzzle piece to signify the power of connection. Pink socks connecting people all around the world. And that's the reason the puzzle piece is in there. And so if you ever get like super bored, you can line up those puzzle pieces on your socks and they actually attach. So they'll line up.
I'll have to try.
We'll do it later, right?
Yeah. And when you look at the movement, and you travel the world, and people meet you, and they're pleased to see you, and give them a hug. What do you think it's achieved?
Well, I mean, I think what it's achieved is, let's just talk about this morning in Leeds, right? I think we totally blew up a myth that says that people in the UK are stodgy and closed-minded, and they don't smile, and they're never going to give hugs, and they're never going to wear pink socks. And we blew that completely up, so that myth is non-existent anymore. And the reality is, no matter where we travel in the world is full of happy, smiling people just like you. The people that believe that the world is full of good, that the world would rather hug you than hurt you. And that's a true message. And that's the very simple message that's at the core of the Pink Socks movement. And before we end, I promise some people I've got to get into a little more explanation on the world is full of good.
Please do.
So can you give me a few minutes?
Yes, of course.
So this is a story that came from...
We have the room booked till Tuesday.
Okay. Right. I mean, if someone needs to like brush their teeth or floss or go out and put some water in their face, you can.
You've got 6 minutes.
Got 6 minutes, right. So this is from a story from a friend of mine that his grandfather told him. This friend of mine's name is John Stin, @Halcyon on Twitter. It goes like this. I'm going to stand up for this. Ugh. In every single moment of every day, and I mean every now, it's like this. And every now, each of us is standing with an ice cream cone in this hand. We're holding an ice cream cone right here. And this foot, it's standing in a pile of dog crap. Ugh, crap. Oh, look at this cone. No, God, look at this crap. Come here. Smell my crap. My crap's worse than your crap. Get down here, smell it. Oh, look at this beautiful cone. There's so much cone in my life. There's people falling in love. They're having babies. They're people planting flowers in their garden, growing vegetables. They're meeting their mates at the pub to have a pint. They're going to a football game. There's a hole in a wall in my house, right here, the water comes out of. I get to get clean. So much cone. Does it make this crap go away? Ooh, no, it's still down there. In every single moment, we have to decide, what do we want to focus on? Crap? Cone. Yeah, focus on the cone. Yeah, the cone. There's a lot of cone in life. Doesn't make that crap go away. So the PinkSocks Tribe, there's a lot of people just like you that are focusing on the cone, focusing on the good in the world. The more that we do that, the collective exponential effect, the ripple effect across the universe that has, of meeting somebody new in line at the post office or sitting on the train or waiting. Hey, those are cool socks. What's your name? Roy, Nick. Hey, it's good to see you. If we can each do that 1 time a day, 2 times, 10 times, 20 times each day, I mean, think if there's 100,000 people doing that each day, the exponential ripple effect of goodness that throws in the world, can we make a difference? Yes, yes. The world is full of good. There's so much going. There's so many good people doing good things. Yeah. I see you, Chris, Vicky, Sebastian, Richard, you, right? We're doing these things. And if you were at the barbecue last night, I said, we need this sense of connection now, more than ever. The sense of what's real in life. We're living in a world now of fakes and deep fakes. We're not really sure what we can trust, that we see. What we know to be real is right now. I see you in real life. Don't lose every moment that you have to connect with someone in real life. Yeah? It's all going to be okay. We're going to make this. Deal? Yeah? Yeah? You're a believer, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right.
We are believers.
Good.
Right. I'm going to now. I think I'm too old for all this, really. I think this is a young person's game. So I'm going to hand you over now to Amelia, who's going to spend the last 10 minutes that we've got with you. You can spend it with Amelia because she's really all about the future, and that's where the Pink Socks movement is in the future.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for today.
Yeah.
So, the PinkSocks movement is definitely all about the future. And I wanted to ask you, how do you think we could make it more prominent to more people in the next generation?
So Amelia, this is what I tell my kids and my friends everywhere we meet. There really is no future. There is no past. There's only the now, right? Life is something that's happening right now, right here. Don't miss it, right? So how we impact the future is how we live the now. And I would encourage you and me and all of us to don't miss it. We live the now, right now. We have real connections. We be kind, we be authentic, we be transparent, we be vulnerable, we be loving and kind right now. And that's what's going to change the future as we catch up with it. Yeah?
Yeah, that's great. Also, I was just wondering, so do you think there's any way that schools could add it in?
Yes, there's absolutely. There's, if you're on Twitter, there's a teacher in El Paso, Texas, which is a border town in the U.S., and if you follow the news, and I try to avoid as much of the news as possible, there's some really horrendous things happening in border towns in the U.S. That she's a first grade teacher, teaches first grade kids, little folks, and she somehow or another through Twitter, somebody gave her some pink socks and she reached out, and next thing I know, she's tweeting these beautiful, adorable kids in her pink socks. And I reached back to her and I said, look, how many kids do you have in that whole class? I'm just gonna pink it up. And so we shipped a whole box of pink socks in to these first graders in El Paso, Texas. And her name is Miss Blancas on Twitter. And she posted this video of these first graders all wearing their pink socks and doing what we call a cinnamon roll hug, which we don't have room in this room to do, but a bunch of happy, smiley first graders loving each other and being kind, and she's teaching them that the world would rather hug them than hurt them, no matter what's being shown. She's being very vigilant on teaching them that and it's nice. And she shows the kids, some tweets from time to time of, like she was probably going to show us tweets from us today, right? So when school starts back in session, she's going to have this whole line of things that says, oh, what's been happening? Well, we've been away for summer. Well, look at what the PinkSocks Tribe has been doing around the world. Yeah, look, there's a group in Germany that just did this. There's a group in England, there's a group in Denver that just did this. To instill in those kids that, yeah, look, they're grown-ups. They're wearing their pink socks. They're hugging. They're being loving and kind. Yeah, it's going to be okay. So, you know, there's some ravers in this room I can see already. I'm not going to point names out, but, you know, one of the things is that we're doing it for the kids. Yeah, we're doing it for the kids. Yeah, we want people to look at us and say, hey, you know, getting old's not so bad. Look how cool they are. Look how kind they are. Look how loving they are. And so, I think there's a huge opportunity in the education system, and we'd love to, you know, just airdrop as many pink socks as we can to every school. So I'd love to do that.
It's brilliant. We need kid-size socks.
Well, yeah, they're one size fits all, and these socks even fit first graders. And I don't see, yeah, right here. So, do you have them on?
No. Because I've just washed them so I can wear them tomorrow.
So this is Tracy. She's at Pink Girl Tracy. That's Tracey, at Pink Girl Tracy on Twitter. If you'll follow her, she will send you the instructions on how to chop down your pink socks and make them tiny pink socks, and you can actually search the hashtag tiny pink socks. I was so excited to meet her yesterday and to see her tiny pink socks that I just couldn't. I mean, I've seen a lot of things with pink socks, you know, through the years, but I've never seen anybody chop them down and make tiny pink socks. So she's got the answer for that. So problem solved.
For tiny pink socks, also my dog has some that are very tiny, and he loves them.
Yeah. I mean, there's a really good friend, Mike Ray at Idea Pharma, that lives over here somewhere outside of London. A pharma guy, he's a really good guy. He's got a really cool doodle dog named Doug. And if you look up, I think it's hashtag pink socks, hashtag med pups, you'll find pictures of Doug in his pink socks. And he actually comes to conferences with Mike and goes on stage, and you'll see this doodle dog in pink socks, and it's, you know, but I mean, Alfie maybe has some pink socks.
He does, yes. Yes. He's
Yeah.
not very well.
Alfie's not doing well, so we need to send Alfie as much love and healing energy as we possibly can. I really miss. I was so excited that I got to meet Roy and Amelia and Shane, and a lot of you for the first time in real life. And I'm super disappointed that I missed out on seeing Teresa. I mean, she's really done a great job with these pink socks badges and spreading.
She'll be at the London meet.
She'll be at the London meetup. So if any of you are in London, we're going to be at a meetup on Monday in London. But you know, the Fab ambassadors, and there's just so many good people throughout the NHS system that are doing awesome things. I mean, you wouldn't be in this room if you weren't one of those people. I mean, you know, there are no douchebags in this room. Come on. You know, you wouldn't be here. So, it's good to see you. I mean, except this one guy. He said he goes, he is. Yeah, he's the one guy. Yeah. Okay. Wait on it, brother.
So, how important do you think the Pink Socks movement and positivity is for the now or now future?
Well, I think it's everything, right? So it doesn't really, you know, like I said this morning, I mean, we all have our pink socks, but to kind of skip to the end, kind of, you know, spoiler alert, it's not really about the pink socks. You know, once upon a time, it may have been about the pink socks. The first time you wear your pink socks and you come out and you meet someone, you're wearing the badge, and it helps you get out of your shell and helps you engage with somebody, a stranger, and you're like, oh, we're not strangers anymore, are we? Boom. So whatever it needs to be, it doesn't have to be pink socks for you, it can be something else. But whatever your pink socks thing is, whether it's a fun hat, a cool funky tie, which that guy's not wearing, that's a tie, but you know, I was kidding, but nice beard. You know, whatever your thing is, now that's a tie right there. If you want to see the tie, that's a tie. Whatever your thing is, that says, hey, you know, you're cool. I mean, look at Mickey's hair. I mean, look at how cool is that, right? So, you know, whatever your thing is that says, I want to engage with you. I want to talk to you, right? Get off your phone. I mean, come on. I mean, I rode the train out here from London, and the train was packed. And everybody was doing this, and everybody had AirPods or earphones on, and no one talked to anyone the whole ride. And I mean, and I was like literally, you know, dancing up and down the aisle saying, look at me, look at me. So let's get off our phones. I mean, technology has done a wonderful thing, but it's also, we're so connected that we become disconnected. So hey, how about just putting your phones down every once in a while like you've done? And that's nice.
I do think some people might see there might be a risk talking to you on the train.
I really wasn't jumping it out.
I'm going to.
Hyperbole,
I'm going to push you on because we ain't got an hour with you because I know you've got to get off to your next gig. Before you go, there's just something we would like to do, Nick. We, as you know, we started the Academy of Fabulous Stuff, which was an antidote for the powers of the health service who are trying to destroy it by inspection. We have a thing called the Care Quality Commission that turn up and demoralise everybody and find everything that's wrong. They are, there's two types of people in life. There's people that do things and people that inspect other people doing things. And generally, the inspecting people can't do anything. So we started the Academy of Fabulous Stuff because we thought it would be much better to encourage people to do good things by sharing their best practice. And so we started it as the antidote for inspection. Since then, we're 3 million page views in. We have some of our wonderful ambassadors here tonight. We've got ambassadors in about 80 trusts. We're starting it in Australia and in Canada. And what we don't have, well, one thing missing, we don't have a roving ambassador. So we decided, as it doesn't cost us anything, we've decided to appoint you a roving ambassador. And like you don't have enough badges already, that's a Fab Ambassador's badge.
I've seen these on Twitter.
Yeah, you've got one. Now you've got one. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our Fab Ambassador. I really would love to talk to you a lot longer tonight, but we don't have time because you've got a very busy schedule and I know you've got a dinner to go to. But just before we leave, I'm just going to hand back to Shane and to say thank you to Amelia and to thank you for being a really absorbingly interesting guest. And thank you very much, Nick. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As they used to say in the old days, we're going to run the VT. On the theme of doing good things, we'd like you to indulge us tonight, something a little bit different. And I'm just going to hand over to a video that Roy's done, if you bear with us for a few minutes.
Some of you remember that a couple of months ago, I wrote the story of Stephen, who is a former NHS nurse. He was a staff nurse working at the London hospital, who decided to make a big career change, and instead of being a nurse, he went off and became a priest. It wasn't an ordinary priest. He became a Franciscan monk and also qualified to be a priest. He spent some time working in Jerusalem, where he was the head cantor, and since then he's been moved to Rhodes in Greece, where he's now the Vicar General of Rhodes. It's through that connection that we became aware of an unauthorised refugee camp on Rhodes, where people largely from Syria had fled from Syria. Some of them walked across Turkey and ended up giving their last 2 penneth of money and everything they've got to people to put them in boats to get them across the Mediterranean, and some of them ended up in Rhodes. And that's really where our story begins, in a refugee camp in Rhodes. Now, this is an unofficial refugee camp. Why is that? Well, look, it's about international politics and it's very complicated. What the locals have done is to give the refugees a building which is a disused abattoir, and they're making the best of life there, really from voluntary donations and charities.
What?
How did you come here? Did you walk here?
I come here to get peace and life.
Yeah. I'm going to interject here in this little bit of film because we've cut the audio. Frankly, it's just too harrowing for general release and for people to come across on Twitter. So suffice to say, she's had a horrendous journey and an awful time. Now, all of this, of course, is taking place against the background of the wider pressures that there have been on the Greek economy, and there are elections this weekend. We can show you some pictures here now at the monastery on Rhodes, where Stephen is giving away food bags to Greek citizens who... There's very little social care, there's almost no out-of-work benefits, and these are ordinary working people in Greece who come to the monastery every week for a bag of food, and it includes pasta and tins of tomato and tuna and what have you, and it kind of underpins them and keeps them going for another week. The queue is enormous. It's open between 9 in the morning until 11 o'clock, and there is a huge queue at 8 o'clock before it starts, and it carries right on until after 11 o'clock. All round, this is a pretty grim story that's told here, particularly by the refugees. A lot of them are just young people and women who never expected to end up their lives living in a refugee camp. These are just ordinary people whose lives have been destroyed by war. We often say the little things are the big things, and no more is that demonstrated that here we took a watermelon into the refugees, and I think if we'd have taken in gold bars, we couldn't have had more of an impression. It's the little things: a tube of toothpaste and a toothbrush. We took in toothbrushes, and one little lad, it was the first toothbrush he'd ever had in his life. To the extent that you've given us help, the extent you've given us money, bought my pictures and everything else that you've done for us, thank you. Thank you on behalf of the people who really can't say thank you for themselves, but when you look in their eyes, you can see how grateful they are.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you all for coming in this evening. We hope you've enjoyed it. We've never done this before, but what we'd really like to do is ask if you've a spare quid. Nick's going to give his hat, leave it by the door. If you'd like to fill it up, we'd love it.
So just to clarify, I'm leaving my hat over there for you to make donations to Roy's cause with the video that we just watched.
That's right.
Yes, so the money that you're donating, they want to give is to help Roy and his project. And
Thank you. I'm back out there. I'll be staying in the monastery, and I'll be back out there in August to see what else we can do. It's I tell you, it isn't until you come face to face with that kind of thing you realise how lucky you are. So if you can help, that'd be terrific. Thank you.
And just finally this evening, we've been privileged to work with Roy on a couple of books that have been produced. And if you've been following last year, we did one that helped celebrate the NHS 70 years, and it was for leaders and managers. We had such a response. I think we had well over 10,000 downloads. There are a few hard copies that have been signed. You're very welcome to take them away. I know that it's a digital world, but you can't get Roy's signature on a digital screen. So, and then the other one that happened this week, a little bit of a different topic, but one that's very close to a number of our hearts, and again was actually inspired by Roy 23 years ago, and with some good friends has revisited that, updated it, and again we've got some hard copies that we can give away this evening. And if anybody's online and wants some, just drop us a text or a DM and we'll get some out to you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Roy, thank you very much indeed. Nick, thank you very much.